The first season of Valhalla has come to an end. I still find it weird that they called 2 updates that had no connection with each other part of one YOL season. I will talk about that a bit more in this video, but mostly want to do my review of this first season. What did I like? What could be better? Or what was just weird? Like, I really don't get some of the decisions that are made. At the end, I will also look at where we kind of stand with this game and what it tells us about the future. So if you like that, then a like on the video would of course really help me out. And let's go. As always, I'm doing a weekly Helix credit pack giveaway. You can enter via the link in the pinned comment if you want to participate. And these giveaways are for subscribers of the channel only. Good luck. I think the biggest problem with this first season was the execution. Because on paper, these ideas are great. Having fun in a Christmas style event in your settlement. To kind of get away from killing countless of Saxon soldiers. But to focus on like minigames instead is pretty cool. And I thought that the unarmed combat arena was actually quite a lot of fun and challenging, and also cool how the characters you met in those 2 new missions would be added to these rounds like later, so you could get a free win or some revenge. I really miss an arena style mode in Valhalla, and this was really the closest we got to that. The boat challenge was decent, apart from that lady who would of course not stop saying the same lines over and over again in quick succession.
Love incredible shooting.
It would have been a fun kickoff of the Valhalla post-launch if it weren't for the bugs that plagued every activity. And you likely remember, and I've actually shown them very recently again, but the big ones were totally for the missions with no or completely weird directions, so people had a hard time completing them, or just could not complete them at all without reloading. The event also disappeared for some people way before it was supposed to end. Like, it was a mess and Ubisoft should have delayed it. I don't mind if you then missed the real life YOL season. This just did not work. Or they could have extended it, because now the huge amount of known issues found on the very first day were never fixed. The river raids are luckily less buggy though. I know some people still had issues, but it's not as widespread as with the YOL festival. Now here the execution part is mostly at the core of this experience. For one, Ubisoft totally overpromised it. When you say dynamic, challenging and highly replayable raid experience a couple of times before the release, then I expect to be challenged when playing on the very hard difficulty. I thought we would see the most difficult enemies like protecting these raiding camps and combinations of powerful targets that we did not see in the main game. Bring back the Zealots and let us fight 2 of them at the same time in one raiding camp. No, instead we got only a handful of enemies. Like, the enemy variety in this mode is non-existent, and a champion. And not sure if you watch our Twitch highlights on Instagram, totally do so. Either way, this is Joy's experience with this boss fight.
Let's try and get his weak points.
As she was playing on hard, by the way, here you see my footage on very hard, and I know that many people had the same experience. This champion was far from challenging. Sure, on paper, it's pretty hardcore that when you die, you lose everything, but if it's really hard to die, even on the hardest difficulty, then it is not challenging at all. And I would argue that it's not dynamic either. Sure, there are some things that happen based on your actions, but these extra seed advances can easily be ignored, and you don't really notice the extra advances at camps because you are fighting the same few enemies in all these camps anyways. And when you talk about different difficulty levels before launch, then I think of things that actually make this mode more challenging, but like the heavy river advances did not do anything at all. And in the post-launch trailer, we also hear about a feature linked to the river raids that still is not properly working.
Players are able to actually hire Jumps Viking from their friends online and take on an entire crew.
It's actually pretty bad that Ubisoft is not communicating about this. Hey, sorry, this feature we promised a couple of times still needs more work. Something like that would have been nice. The river raids were really something that Valhalla needed, because while Odyssey had reasons to stay in the world if you wanted to, thanks to loot and build variety you could explore and simply activities that were highly replayable, Valhalla did not ship with any of this. But yeah, I always thought, okay, but they're fixing that post-launch, we get these river raids, but if every raid is the same and you can like easily get all the rewards after a few hours, then there's no reason to go back. And they could have done so many cool things, and to be honest, I expected some of these things already. What if instead of the boring weekly contract that is always the same, we have a weekly raid instead, with up difficulty, harder enemies. It's something that Immortals from the Assassin's Creed Odyssey creators already did at launch with their weekly vaults, and they also added a time limit to it, so an extra challenge. If every week one of the River Raid maps would get a special nightmare difficulty, then we would have a reason to return to the River Raids after the first week. Many games for a long time have thought of smart tactics to make their content more replayable, and we see nothing of that in the River Raids of Valhalla. They're highly replayable modes. Maybe adding some Helix items to Fawn's shop would already go a long way, like an extra weekly reset, something to buy for the River Raid supplies after you already got everything. Why not make the River Raids a good source for major runes? Why am I only getting crappy minor runes that I don't need? Like, this could have fixed the runes issue. Because as you likely know, right now the only farmable source for runes is a merchant who takes a real long time to restock the shop with new runes. I just wish there was more thought put behind this mode to actually make it highly replayable, and maybe that is still coming. Vaughn did hint at more secrets, and we of course saw these settlement items in the trailer. Nothing is announced right now though, so I would not expect an update to the River Raid modes, but I would love to be wrong. And also, don't get me wrong, because there are still totally some cool things about this update. For one, the amount of new stuff in one patch is something we've not seen before in an Assassin's Creed game yet. Like, normally new abilities would only be part of Season Pass expansions, just like new weapons and armor sets, and I really like the new St. George's armor set, by the way. I know a lot of people are like crying, meh, reskin, but I think it's actually cooler than a lot of the Helix armor sets, and it has a pretty strong and fun perk too. So compared to the previous games, we're actually getting quite a lot after launch for free. But of course, we also had way more Helix item packs to kind of balance things out. I gotta say though, while they started out super aggressive, they did slow down significantly. So far in 2021, 2 months in, we've only seen 2 item packs so far, which is I think a great score. Reda all seem to be improved with some secret changes, like new item packs are appearing way faster, and we actually see cool stuff more often. Also during the daily selection, which was first just filled with tattoos. So there are totally positive improvements that happened during this first season. It's still weird though that we haven't seen any quality of life features like the transmog system and New Game Plus, or like a build feature. It's always crazy to look at the first 4 months of Odyssey, for example, and compare it to this game and then see what we got in Odyssey. Like, it's insane. So you would have thought that Valhalla looked at that and thought, hey, we need those features that Odyssey added very rapidly in our game too. But now we're just waiting and waiting. And overall, after this first season, Valhalla is still not really in a great spot. Issues take a really long time to be fixed. Every new update comes with a ton of extra problems. And we still haven't seen any changes to the RPG elements that right now have no impact on the gameplay at all and are just basically still broken. And I really think that if we would have different builds to create and play around in, then the River Raids, even in the current state, would also be more fun. Valhalla should have a bigger post-launch compared to Odyssey, and Ubisoft also wants higher engagement for Valhalla compared to Odyssey, with people playing the game for a longer time after launch and just spend more time in this world in general. But the game they shipped does not support that, and the post-launch so far did nothing to extend that. And that's what I also mean with the seasons. Like, Odyssey did not call it seasons, but it felt way more like seasons, because they did have something new almost every week. So a good reason to check back or something new to do while you were also creating new builds, for example. With seasons, you suggest that you got like a timeline like we see for Call of Duty or Destiny. But instead we get 2 big updates that have like no connection to each other at all and that you're still like done with after a few hours. So maybe like having something new to look forward to each week, even if it's like a way smaller thing, would maybe be more beneficial for Valhalla. Let me know what you think of the first season of Valhalla in the comments down below. I really want to interview someone from Ubisoft about this post-launch strategy. I've requested it multiple times, but yeah, they're not available or something. I really think that would be beneficial. Like, if we know what the plan is with this game for like the coming months, then we know what we can look forward to, right? Right now, we only have the first season as an indication, and I gotta be honest, then it won't be like as good as Odyssey, like far from it. So I hope that they like get their stuff together and actually like improve upon their vision here. So, will be interesting to find out. I'll of course follow everything here, keep you up to date. So So subscribe for way more Valhalla content. A like on the video would really help us out. And totally check out my previous video on some future content we can expect beyond February, Season 2, and more info in that video. You can watch it by clicking on the screen, or I will link to it at the end of our photo mode showcase. You can send in your shots via the Valhalla Raptor hashtag on Twitter, or via the dedicated pictures channel on my Discord. You can join the Discord via the pinned comments, accept the rules, and then you are able to post. Okay, Joyce, your turn, photo mode expert here on the channel. You selected 3 shots from the community, so I'm curious, which one did you select this time?
Hello. First up is Paul5980 over on Discord, who saw this giant whale jumping out of the water while traveling on his ship. Love how it's doing this side turn trick to show off its talents. And I also like the ship design combination right there. The Jotunheim figurehead and the little Isu on the hull there. Or is it
Asgard, I think, but I'm
yeah,
not sure.
maybe.
But I really like the ship as well.
Up next is DHS, who took this close-up shot of Aber with the logo in the middle. Must be taken on next gen or PC, because the details on the face, like the hairs on Aber's eyebrows and beard, the shine in his eyes, and the structure on his skin, it looks very, very cool. It's incredible what the power of next gen can do.
Yeah, I really hope more people that are looking for a next gen console right now can find one soon. And I also really get like a movie poster vibe from this. In a world. Something like that.
And finally, we've got Gramo, who sent us this unbelievable shot of Sunan flying around Jotunheim. I think this must be the Senu skin.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, looking at the details on the feathers, and you can get it, of course, at Ubisoft Connect. And it totally fits with the color pattern here, blue and white. Little tweak with the saturation, I see, and you get this beautiful picture.
I really, really love it. Thanks for sharing, everyone, and of course sending your shots, and then maybe you are in the next video. Subscribe for way more Valhalla content, and totally check out our previous video, which you can watch by clicking on the screen. For now, we will speak to you next time, and goodbye.
Goodbye!